here. They all could triumph today. We've seen lots of crashes, I have to say. I think that's to be expected on the narrow roads. Individual riders falling off left and right of the road with the traffic furniture and the sharp corners, and also the odd multi-pilot. But as far as we know, nobody's been injured. They've all got up and continued. Well, there is at the moment 2 riders clear, but one man who's been pretty active is Garmin Slipstream's Steve Kozza, because he's been trying to bridge across to the leaders on a couple of occasions. We're looking down from the helicopter now. They've just made the right turn onto the old Quanamant. Look at that, Paul. All the boys in black. They've got control of the front. Husham off to the right. Hammond nearest camera on the right. And they can do what others can't do. They're slowing it down.
Well, this is what always happens. You battle to get into that first corner at the start of the old Quaremont, and then once you've got your position, you can take a bit of a rest until you start the cobbled section. Hincapie is right there, Phil, in the yellow. Yep. The new strip this year of Team Colombia High Road, looking very calm and collected. You didn't see him make too much of an effort, but he's in the right place at the right time.
And Hincapie is showing his face there of one of terrific determination and feeling good, I would suggest, by that picture. As he sits in a perfect position. On his right shoulder is Fabian Cancellara. And I'm so impressed the way Cervelo got those riders up here like that so quickly as well, because 1 or 2 of those boys were at the back 5 kilometres ago.
Yep, I have to say this is a team that has really gelled well together this season. That's a very difficult thing to do as well. This is the steepest part of the older Quaremont, but I'd have to say not necessarily the hardest part, because I've always found that the hardest part of this climb is straight over the top. These are the 2 leaders here at the moment, part of the early morning breakaway, and they've got themselves an advantage of a minute at the moment, Phil, but that's not very much considering the speed of the bunch behind.
Well, Kuzinski is the rider on the front. Now, this is the chaos of the back. They've made the turn, and 1 or 2 have taken a dip into the ditch on the left-hand side as the riders. Here we can see that again now, because we were with the leaders when it happened. There they go, forced literally off the road and into the ditch, and everybody has to wait. This is why the strong men race at the front and hold position, because they know this is going to happen at the back. Look at this. It's all calm and ecstasy at the front.
It's all pleasurable at the front end of the main field, but it was a battle to get there. Risks had to be taken to get into the first 10 or 15 places. And yes, Phil, I have to say, Cervelo test team, what a great ride to get first 5 positions. But Team Colombia are not too far away either.
Team Colombia equally have ridden well today. They were the year's team last year, and the situation now is that they are looking good again for this big season here as well. Changed their team racing colours to yellow and white, and just watching here now, this doesn't look very steep from our camera, but it is, believe me, it is a hard climb. They only allow so many spectators down here because they get too many. They can't find the road as they make their way up into the steeper section. The gap a minute 14, but again, these 2 riders aren't the quarry just now. It's all about holding position in the peloton.
This is the town square of the little town of Hamlet, of Quaremont. And once they go through that town square, it actually continues in a false flat, and with the wind that comes across these barren fields here, that's what makes this climb so very difficult.
Well, Roger Hammond, Heinrich Housler, Thor Hushoft, these are the riders we've seen at the front for Cervelo. I think also up there too is Andreas Clear. Watching out for the other English rider in this event, Daniel Lloyd, who's riding this event for the first time. I wonder what he thinks of it now. Oh dear me, a little lock of the legs here, and this is Mikhail Ignatieff from Katusha, who's had enough on the climb, and a change of bikes at the back as well.
Well, that was a Milram rider.
It was Artur Gacek. I don't know who he was pushing though.
It would have to be Cholak, I would think, because he's one of the team leaders for Milram. It's a race, and I've said this so many times, Phil, where you have to make sacrifices for your team on a day like this, because this is one of the strategic points of the Ronde van Vlaanderen. You can see the Lion of Flanders flags there. This is their World Cup. This is their World Championships. This is one of the biggest days of sport in Belgium.
Little select group forming at the front, or is it the whole peloton? Because these boys at the front know that the race can be lost here, but it won't be won here. And so now they've done what they needed to do: get to the front, control the pace, keep the ride up the mountain up the hill rather, as easy as possible, because there's still a lot more to come along the way. We're only 81 kilometres from the finish. You see them occasionally reach out and just squeeze their chest, and that's because they have a microphone there and they're talking back to the team management in the cars behind, and they're probably saying, yep, we've got 5 guys, we've got them all through to the front, we're controlling the pace. The manager behind will be telling him who is in difficulty at the back, who is not having a happy ride, and if they see a big star in trouble, they'll tell them to turn the pressure up a bit.
Bonin is riding very well. He's in about 5th or 6th position, just being very attentive, just keeping a close eye on affairs, waiting to see if there's going to be any acceleration at this point. Usually in the Tour of Flanders, Phil, there is an acceleration on this part of the course, because with this flat part of the cobblestone tilting up just slightly to the top of the climb, is where the race normally splits up, and then we have a setup for the dash down to the Koppenberg.
Well, Cervelo is keeping a tempo here that will stop anybody coming up and join them right now. I'm amazed to see so many riders still sitting there in the group, but they've got themselves a very fast tempo. The crowd know exactly what they're looking at here in Belgium. They are as expert as any expert in the world of cycling. And as soon as they're all over the top, they'll be heading for those cars and heading across the countryside to the next climb.
This is a mean tempo being dished out here by Cervelo test team. This is the top part of the Old Quaremont. They'll have a bit of respite. They've only got about 6 kilometres of smooth road before they start the Koppenberg, and that is a beast of a climb. And a lot of riders, Phil, I reckon, will see themselves walking on the Koppenberg, although fortunately today it's dry.
Yes, once your wheels start spinning, you're in big trouble. This is Sapper here, who's in trouble for Lamprey, but he's doing well. He's hanging on in there. As the crowd are terrific today. They're standing right back off the route. They're giving the riders every help they can by keeping the race clear on a reasonably wide stretch of road. Astana looking as though they've got Berry Kupchov in trouble here. He's losing ground now. New signing for Astana, getting his first bite of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, trying to pick the smooth on the inside. There's the end of the cobblestones. Now it's a quick sprint and rejoin before we get to more climbs. So the Old Quaremont doing some of its usual damage, but it hasn't decided this race, that's for sure. There are plenty more hills and cobbles to conquer. We'll take our break and come back with all the action.
Cyclism Sunday's coverage of the Tour of Flanders on Versus is brought to you by San Diego. Make your happy happen at sandiego.org.
Base points. Real value from your friends at Hampton.
Who is Dickey's American Worker of the Year for 2008? Introducing Hale Hughes, an oil field roughneck from Woodville, Texas. Hale won the new 09 Ford F-150 and lots of other great prizes. Find out how your favorite worker can become next year's winner at Dickies.com. Dickies, a legend in work.
At the end of a long, hot day, grab a beer with a taste as cold as the Rockies. Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
The fastest accelerating, most agile side-by-side in the world. The Red Hot Ranger Razor. Nothing else comes close. Razor sharp performance. See it up close at your local Polaris Ranger dealer.
There's something about the freshness of Ireland that brings out the lasses. Get that clean scent from head to toe with new Irish Spring hair and body for all over freshness. New Irish Spring hair and body. Yes, sir, hair and body.
Coming up on Versus. Next, it's the PBR from Nampa. Then at 9, a WEC title fight, Torres Mitsugaki. And at 11, it's Sports Soup with Matt Iceman.
Well, watching the Tour of Flanders, and one of the big American favourites today is George Hincapie, the Colombia rider, who is certainly on form, as we witnessed from his performance in February at the Amgen Tour of California. That brings us to our San Diego Tourism Flashback. Well, this year's Amgen Tour of California did visit one of the hottest cycling beds in the state, San Diego County. The peloton left Rancho Bernardo and headed up the monstrous climb over Mount Palomar. A breakaway charged into Encinido, where Frank Schleck won the stage in front of Vincent Nibali. But it was a big George Hincapie who took the sprint for third. Just short of the win, yes, but a good sign that his form was where it needed to be, looking ahead for the Classics, George's favourite period of any cycling season. And that's your San Diego Tourism Flashback. Well, speaking of how George is doing, Paul Sherwen this morning in the town of Bruges caught up with him just before the start of this event.
George, I think the first question I need to ask you is that your preparation and lead up to the Tour of Flanders this year is not the same as it's been in years gone by.
No, definitely not. I started quite early this season with Tour Down Under, and I was very happy with the way that race went and the feelings it gave me afterwards. So I decided this year to also skip Dupana and try to stay home and stay out of trouble in the lead up for Flanders and Roubaix.
This is a very special race, I think, for you, a very special week for you, because you've always been super motivated by these two classics, the Tour of Flanders and Paddy Roubaix. Why is that?
Well, this is basically what got me started in cycling, watching races like this, just to see the riders out there suffering, how hard it is. You know, to win one of these one day would be a dream come true. So I got to keep believing that it's possible, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen.
I think what's also important to win a race like this, you have to have strong men around you, and I think this year you've got a very strong team to support you in these classics.
Absolutely, this team is definitely the strongest classics team I've ever been part of.
And you've got the confidence and the feeling today that you can take the way of the win?
I feel great. I mean, better than ever. So if it's going to happen, it should happen today. Thanks.
Paul, it's interesting this, because although he's always had a proven formula, he's changed his way of approaching the Classics this year.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to do with his team manager, Alan Piper, who felt that because he was getting a little bit older, he needed more time to recuperate. And that's why I think he's moved away from the traditional preparation, and also starting a lot earlier in the Tour Down Under. I think that's helped.
All right, well, George, very much in our pictures today in these early stages, so let's get back to the action. So we're now looking at the two leaders here as they begin the Koppenberg climb. They are still Alexander Kuzinski and Wim de Vocht, but they're only a handful of seconds ahead now of a group which has got away over the top of the Peterberg after the climb of the Old Quaremont. And there they are. There are 6 riders trying to get on terms. Among them is Daniel Lloyd of Cervelo, the British rider. Quincy Arta of Liquiga. Chavanel is in there. 3 times runner-up Leif Hoster. These are all part of that chase group. The peloton is only just behind them.
This is one of the scariest climbs in the Ronde van Vlaanderen. It's only 600 meters long, but its average gradient is 12%, but it peaks out at 22%. And it really, on the camera here, Phil, is very difficult to explain just exactly how steep this climb is. But if you look at the way these guys...
I think we know now with that shot.
That is a nice shot. It just explains how difficult this climb is. It is a beast of a climb, and you can see by the style of these riders, they're struggling just to get up it.
You see there that they're doing what we call ankling with their pedals. They're pushing the whole heel down towards the ground and driving those pedals around, but the move behind is bringing them up slowly but surely. 6 will now be 8 as we come to the top of the Koppenberg. 8 versus the rest, the survivors in effect. There's Daniel Lloyd, the UK rider, in the black, going through on the inside in his first ever Tour of Flanders. Tremendous piece of riding. And there also number 14 is Leif Hoster, 3 times second in this event.
Well, Frédéric Guédon has got himself into this move. A very clever bike rider who for France won himself Paddy Roubaix. He won also the Great Paris Tours Classic, but there's a Frenchman taking up the lead here now in the blue and white jersey of Team Quickstep, and that is Sylvain Chavanel. Moved across to Quickstep during the winter transfer season because he wanted to have a solid team and a crack at trying to win himself some of these one-day classics, and he is looking very lean and mean.
He's looking as good as I think we've ever seen him, Paul. And his brother Sebastian also riding, but he's the sprinter. And Sylvain here is the man with the best credentials, I think, of the two.
Check this out. Big Tom Bonin has seen that he doesn't like having a group of 6 or 8 riders off the front end of the main field. He loves these climbs. Look at the way he's all over his machine, up alongside him, former teammate Pipo Pozzato.
Right on his wheel. There's Pozzato, also a big rival here, riding on the wheel of Tom Bonin. Interesting that Bonin's not respecting the fact he's got a teammate in that breakaway. He's got to try and get rid of this peloton. This is a huge move here by Bonin. A 2-time winner of the event.
Coming along in 3rd place, Stein de Volder, another teammate. So Team Quickstep are trying to smash this race apart. There's George Hincapie going through.
Just looking there for George Hincapie too, who's passed through the picture as well. He's keeping an eye on affairs. He knows this is, again, not the situation where you can win the race, but you can lose it if you allow some of these big names to slip out of sight. And it looks like Pozzato's willing to help Tom Bonin right now. Looking down the line to see if we can see George.
Fletcher going through there. This is a clever move by Pipo Pozzato, but it's also a pretty good tactical move by Team Quickstep, because if they can get across the gap here, and let's not forget it's only about 20 or 30 seconds, Quickstep could see themselves facing 3 men in the leading group. Fletcher is there in 4th position, just behind Stein de Volder. A little bit further back, I can just see the yellow jersey of Team High Road and George Hincapie.
Well, the gap is he's coming to the picture in this little group of riders. We've just cut away from him now, but he's certainly there at the moment. And this is how hard it is. That was Boysen Hagen just gone through now. His young legs finding this climb very, very hurtful indeed. The peloton now going obviously slower than the boys over the top, and they have the hammer down. And it looks to me as though Pozzato and Bonin might be going across that gap themselves to those 8 leaders.
Sadly for Just Postuma there, the rider from Rabobank, with that mechanical incident, he's right at the back end of the main field and maybe losing a big chance of riding well in the Ronde van Vlaanderen here this afternoon.
Well, we've got 8 riders together. We know that Pozzato and Bonin are chasing. The crowd spotted Bonin. They went berserk as he went over the top of the climb here of the Koppenberg. This is the most famous climb of the Ronde van Vlaanderen. Not always the one that decides who wins it, though. But it certainly has, through the books, the history books over the 93 editions of this event, provided us with some tremendous entertainment.
Most certainly, and it's a great climb that many part-time cyclists like to come out here and try, and somebody there is not too happy about the Koppenberg here this afternoon. One of the riders,
Saxo rider. It's Cancellara, isn't it? Yeah.
He has a problem with his bike.
Well, there's a picture for you. The World Time Trial, Olympic Time Trial champion, carrying his bike up the Koppenberg in the Ronde van Vlaanderen. And that was a playback. You probably work that out for yourselves.
Thank you very much for that. Now, this is still the remnants of these guys trying to get themselves to the top of the climb. Now, for Fabian Cancellara, by the way, Phil, walking up the climb here, this is a bit of a problem because the team cars are not allowed to drive up the Koppenberg. So he's got to hope that there's a car at the top there and a pit stop where he can get himself a new machine. But I think for him, the Ronde van Vlaanderen is pretty much over.
He's a wry smile there for Fabian. In fact, he's going to provide all of the photographers here with a picture and show them what's wrong with his bike. Oh, he's no chain on it. Well, that's it. Snap chain, no team car, end of the Ronde.
Goodbye. But that's a shame because I think he was looking to find himself a return to the form. The photographers there also are not allowed to drive up this. In fact, there's a little road around the back that they have to come up on to get themselves photographs of the Koppenberg.
Well, it goes back to the days when the race referees ran over Alan Piper, didn't they?
No, it was
Jesper Skibby from Denmark, that's right. He couldn't get out of the way, he couldn't climb any faster, and the race was coming up behind, so they pushed their way through and went over the wheels of his bike. So there we are, we're over the top of the Koppenberg now. We still have 8 leaders as we regroup here. This tour is going on to the finish. When we come back, we'll have more on one of the Americans riding today for Team Garmin Slipstream. I'm talking about Michael Friedman.
There's this big fat kid rolling around the velodrome, but just killing everyone. He's stubborn enough to succeed in cycling.
Well, everything is in its place, and I can't stop the smile on my face, 'cause I'm happy in this place. 1, 2, 3, so smile, smile on my friends. You're in a happy place, so smile, smile on my friends. Come on, smile, smile on my friends.
Make your happy happen at sandiego.org. Monday through Friday, I call it work. On the weekends, I call it play. More ASE top mechanics use Valvoline in their own cars.
May I help you?
Hi, I need to start saving on car insurance.
Money a bit tight?
Yeah, I've had to cut back, sell some stuff.
Like his watch.
Ah, we can help you save because we instantly compare your Progressive Direct rate with rates from other top companies. Watch this. Nice savings.
This means I can buy my watch back.
Oh, this watch?
Yeah.
Not for sale.
That's cold.
Making sure you get a great deal. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
How are you feeling?
Great, actually. Meet Ronnie Barnhart. I met a girl. We're in love.
Yeah, shots! That burns so good.
Seth Rogen.
The manager, who's so mean to me.
You like making fun of people? Observe and Report. Rated R.
New Gillette Sculpting Paste. Throw some on. Hair stays flexible and looks great all day and all night. Hey, just because you're all over the place doesn't mean your hair has to be. Gillette High Performance Stylers. Take charge of your hair.
Every year, Bike MS goes farther and pushes harder to raise money that will move us closer to a cure for multiple sclerosis. And that's where you come in. An unforgettable ride, an unbeatable destination. Bike to create a world free of MS. Join the movement.
Every year, Bike MS Colorado helps to raise money that will move us closer to a cure for multiple sclerosis. Join Great West Life, Sam's Club, and Comcast, and log on to bikemscolorado.org to find out how you can bike to create a world free of MS. Don't miss your chance to attend the Denver Auto Show, April 1st through the 5th at the Colorado Convention Center. Purchase your tickets today at denverautoshow.com. The Auto Show is great entertainment for serious shoppers, car buffs, and the entire family. Check out all the 09 models, plus get a sneak peek of the 2010. While you're there, drop by the Kid Stop Pit Stop and even simulate driving a big rig. Register to win a VIP trip for two to the Jazz Aspen Festival. Go to comcast.segura.com for your chance to win. It's the Denver Auto Show at the Colorado Convention Center.
Well, welcome back. Well, this happened on the climb of the Koppenberg, and just look at this. The man who's breaking his chain is Fabian Cancellara, and he's left to stand by the roadside as the race goes away from him. No team cars allowed behind the race on this climb. In fact, he goes back down the hill here, and just look at this. He picks up his chain, puts it round his neck, and continues to ride on down the hill. Well, that's some souvenir. Well, let's take a minute to meet one of the Americans who spends most of his time in the pack, thinking team tactics and helping Team Garmin Slipstream do their job. He's one of the support riders on the squad, often sacrificing himself. So let's learn more now about Mike Friedman.
Now, Mike is, you know, he's a guy who won U23 national championships and then stopped cycling, went back to school. And then started up racing again. He was only track racing, and he probably weighed 20, 30 more pounds than he does right now. And so I flew out to LA, watched track nationals, and there's this big fat kid rolling around the velodrome, but just killing everyone. And, you know, I said, well, you know, it's a great motor. It's got a trailer towing behind it, but great motor.
I get tired of people telling me what I can and can't do because I'm a quote-unquote bigger guy on the team, but it's going to be a breakout season. I'm going to surprise a lot of people.
Incredible work ethic. Is a smart kid, very stubborn. I mean, stubborn as a mule.
He just likes to lay it all out there. He's not concerned about what anybody thinks about him. I think that's a good thing.
He's stubborn enough to succeed in cycling.
This year is going to be my best road season ever. It's the only season I've ever had where it's strictly road. I'm actually going to peak for that week of Roubaix, Flanders, Ghent, Wevelgem, and Roubaix.
In 2009, I think Mike Friedman will be, you know, one of the better classics riders out there. I mean, he's born to pound away on the cobbles.
It's going to be a big step, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, he's 26 years of age now, is Friedman. He weighs 170 pounds. He comes from Pittsburgh on the East Coast, and he had a good start to the year too, finishing 34th in the Tour of Qatar. We are 59 kilometres from the finish. 44 seconds the gap. 8 riders in the lead. Kaczynski, De Vogt, Hoster, Guédon, Lloyd, Sebastian Chavanel, Quinziato and Marco Bandiera. And the man powering the chase behind, and that's why we've got Chavanel sitting on, I was going to say, is Tom Bonen, but there's been a change because that's Heinrich Housler on the left now, who's tempting others to join him.
Well, everybody sees the dangerous situation developing at the front end of this bike race, and Tom Bonen, I think, will be licking his wounds there because he does not want to be in this situation. He's not happy with an 8-man breakaway, even though he has got a teammate in that leading group. But Housler has said that he's got the form here this afternoon, and he's looking for the gap. And this climb here of the Eichenberg is a very good climb to get across a gap of 40 or so seconds.
Well, this race has completely disappeared as a big peloton. There's about 18 riders in that chase group now, heading up to try and pull back 8 leaders. The gap is 44 seconds. The kilometres are ticking down. Kaczynski at the back here has not enjoyed this last 15 minutes or so on the hills. He's been last man over the top, but he hasn't lost ground at all. Chavanel, one in front of him in the white and blue. He's had his orders, I'm sure Paul Sherwen is right, not to help this breakaway anymore until Tom Bonen arrives alongside him.
He's looking over his shoulder. He wants to know where is the team leader for the day, but he's in a very strong tactical position as well as Sylvain Chavanel, because he can sit there and act like an anchor to that breakaway. There's Bonen. He's locked in this field right now.
Well, looking here at the face of Heinrich Housler, he's not a man under pressure, that's for sure. He's had 3 wins this year, Heinrich. He really has become quite a star. He's only 25 years of age. And hearing him, I was chatting with him this morning, he speaks English with a faultless English accent. Well, Australian really. He was brought up in the lovely town of Inverell in New South Wales, and I know they'll all be watching and cheering for him as an Australian, but he is in fact a German, although his family I think still live in Inverell. But he is now living in Germany where he's making his career. He came across in the now defunct Gerolsteiner team over the winter, and boy, has he settled in quickly. Second in the Tour of Qatar, which is in the Arab Republic. He's finished won 2 stages of the Tour of Algarve in Portugal, and he collected 1 in Paris-Nice as well, second day of that great race. And he's looking good. And he said at the start this morning, I have never felt so nervous in my life. Well, I would think now, Paul, all those nerves have been transposed into adrenaline.
Energy, and that's what it's all about. These guys are all very nervous about a race like this, and I think really this is very much the coming of age of Heinrich Housler. He's riding in a dominant fashion, and you can do that when you're on a squad like this, because if he doesn't come up with the goods here this afternoon, he knows he can count on the other team lead, and that's Thor Hushovd in this squad here this afternoon. There's a lot of panic now because that leading group of 6 riders, because 2 have now just been dropped, are looking at just 33 seconds now. It doesn't seem very much, but there's nobody in the group really, Phil, who are prepared to actually work.
Well, this is the crunch time in this year's Ronde van Vlaanderen. You get that impression now. These hills keep on coming for a while longer yet in the last 57 kilometres. The last climb is the Bosberg, and once over that, you go as quick as you can for the finish with whoever is left around you. There's the rather stagnant fields of Flanders at the moment as summer comes to sprout the crops. And there is the chase group. It's around about 17 riders here, and I'm still anxious. I'm still not sure George Hincapie has made this selection.
I think he has, because I think that's George Hincapie moving to the front.
Looks like his style, actually. You're absolutely right. It could well be George driving now at the front. Anxious to close down. Well, Tom Bonen would be glad of his effort he's making here. These are the survivors at the front now. Chavanel, Hoster, Guédon, and Daniel Lloyd. This is the end of Kaczynski. Is he still... He's still yo-yoing, so there we have a situation then. These are the leaders, Kaczynski in the spot of bother, but Tom Bonen, George Hincapie and the rest of the leaders are coming up quick.
See you tomorrow, Steve. Tony Stewart? Thank you, Tony.
Tony? Armor All wash, wipes, and tire shines. Go ahead, stare. And to clean your car while you shine, try Armor All Protect It.
Thanks to the industry's first electric power steering system, the Grizzly 700 stands alone as the world's #1 big bore ATV. A hard act to follow, until now. Presenting the brand new Grizzly 550 with power steering. So you can pound it all day without feeling it the next day. The new Grizzly 550 with electric power steering from Yamaha.
Tuscany pastas from Pizza Hut. Choose from 4 delicious recipes like our new lasagna or creamy chicken Alfredo starting at just $12.99. That's right, over 3 pounds of any recipe starting at $12.99. Tuscany pastas delivered only by Pizza Hut. Now you're eating.
FreeCreditReport.com. Tell your friends, tell your dad, tell your mom. Never mind, they've been singing our songs since we first showed up with our pirate hats on. If you're not into fake sword fights, pointy slippers and green wool tights, take a tip from a knight who knows. FreeCreditReport.com. Offer applies with enrollment in Triple Advantage.
Over the years, there's been no week as special as Masters Week on Golf Channel. From the return of Tiger to Padraig's quest for his 3rd straight major, live from the Masters on Golf Channel, we'll cover the season's first major all week long. You'll hear the stories, see the beauty, and feel the excitement from Augusta National during Masters Week, all next week on Golf Channel.
Took him 12 years to get the gig in this joint. Now he's been headlining for 25.
Okay, solid.
Might be time for something new.
Man, sounding pretty good. Maybe tomorrow you come in and play some with us, all right?
2, 3. So when he heard what he heard that night, he knew. For every king an heir, for every king a crown. Crown Royal. Please drink responsibly.
Well, as we start the climb now of the Valkenberg, it is almost all together, I think, because we're seeing Quinziato here, we're seeing Chavanel in the blue, and also Leif Hoster 3 times second. It's 8.1% average gradient, but wait till you just look above these 3 riders. The remnants of the breakaway, followed by Tom Bonen, and then the chase is right on the back of them.
Well, this is still Frédéric Guédon looking over his shoulder, and he knows what is coming up behind him. It is his steam train, an engine at full power, and it's called Tom Bonen and Stein de Volder. There they are over on the left-hand side, straight to the front, taking up the pacemaking. Caught in the quick-step sandwich, as you might say, Phil, is Pipo Pozzato, who's quite happy to be in this position.
Well, there's only really 3 survivors now, Quinziato, Hoster, and indeed Chavanel. They are the leaders on the Valkenberg, and the train is coming, and a tremendous amount of work has been done today by last year's champion Stein de Volder. He's desperate to get Tom Bonen into that winning position.
This joining up here has really put pressure onto Frédéric Guédon over on the right-hand side in the white jersey of Française des Jeux. He knows he's got to get himself over the top of this climb and stay in contact. They're looking over their shoulders now. Sylvain Chavanel says, I think the boss is on his way.
Well, I tell you what, Paul, if Pozzato is riding like this, he's looking himself as though he could well take advantage of all the infighting that's going on today. He's poised in a perfect position to win this now.
He certainly is. Greg van Avermaet in second position at the front end of the main field here is trying to control affairs as Nick Noyens now for Rabobank tries to go clear. He realises the race is starting to form.
Noyens, the runner-up to De Volder 1 year ago, and is looking to play another card for Rabobank here now. 37 kilometres from the finishing line, and the man in silver medal position last year suddenly finding his legs.
Well, they realise how dangerous the situation is starting to unfold, because at the front you've got Stein de Volder, last year's winner. You've got Tom Bonen, a winner on 2 occasions. This is Dan Lloyd going back. Obviously the pressure of the joining of Tom Bonen there proved a little bit too much for this man, who's getting his first taste, I believe, of the Ronde van Vlaanderen. I think he will have enjoyed it, and he'll be back.
He's played an ace card for Cervelo, but what he would like to see now is somebody like Heinrich Housler or Thor Hushoff go by him. That would be the reason he was making the pace, to pave the way for those two to try and win the day for the squad. Haven't seen anything of either of them for the last few minutes, but this race is such a difficult race to monitor now. The riders don't know who to chase, who's going to succeed, how much energy can I afford to throw away.
Sylvain Chavanel in the blue shorts looking over his shoulder. Come on, Tomica, where are you? I know you want to win this bike race, but you can't be too far behind us. These now are the chasers. Chavanel looking over his shoulder to see that he's got two teammates coming along in this group, Stein de Volder and Tom Bonen, joined by Bandiera from Lampre, who's hanging on there, and of course stuck in third position is Pipo Pozzato, who I have to say, Phil, is looking extremely dangerous to Tom Bonen if Bonen wants to win this bike race.
I'm urging it. By the way, if Tom Bonen wins today, it'll be his 100th victory as a professional since he turned pro back in 2002. And so everything to play for, as they say in football today, for Tom Bonen. And De Volder, Bonen, Chavanel, Hoster, the big hitters have suddenly pierced the air. They're now blazing a trail towards the finish in Meerbecker, but I don't think we've seen the rest of the strengthening of this breakaway yet.
Well, the fact is now Quick-Step are playing their cards. The cards that they've got, we talked before the race, Phil, of three favourites on Team Quick-Step. De Volder, Bonen and Chavanel. They're all in this group. They have to give it all now. They've got the cards in their hand. They're going to play them onto the table, and they've got to give it everything now, because if it comes back together once more, they've used a lot of firepower.
Well, it is now becoming a very select group, and I'm very sad to say that we haven't got George Hincapie up here, and this could well be the winning move now. Who is there left to chase? And after all the great bike riding today, Cervelo haven't come up when it matters most at the moment.
Well, as you say, at the moment, 36 kilometres to go. Everything is still to play for. There are two chasers here trying to get themselves across the gap. I think one of those, well, this is in fact a group of riders that are splitting off the back end of the main field at 30 seconds.
Well, there's the gap, 33 seconds they're trying to reach. As I say, it's not over yet here. This is Tom Bonen. There's two guys trying to get off the front here now. Tom's only just come. He's not recovered from that chase yet.
Well, they're playing a very dangerous move here, because Kinziato, I think, has clipped himself off the front end of the main field, and they've split up once again, which is a bit of a shame after that big job of work they did. Covered by Sylvain Chavanel, still working for the team.
He's riding unbelievable since he come across to Quick-Step this year. He's having a terrific season already. Number 2. He has worn number 1 as a previous winner on 2 occasions of this race. But just who is going to win this year's Ronde van Vlaanderen? Because at 35 kilometres to go, even if you're a gambling man, it's still anybody's guess.
And now we're back in the living room. And now, bedroom. Wow. And...
Most people avoid extremes. Others can't wait to experience them. Introducing the all-new Ranger XP and Sportsman XP. The most power, the best all-wheel drive, the best suspension. Extreme performance for the most extreme terrain. They're the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles ever. See the 2009 XPs at your local Polaris dealer or visit PolarisXPEvent.com.
I went to VHIX.com before I bought my car. They have these video consumer reviews, and it's real people talking about the best-selling, most researched cars, and you can find out about the car you want to buy. Real people talking about the cars that they own. They tell you what they think about it. Video consumer reviews. Videos, videos, videos. This is a great way to learn about a car. I like my car.
Watch the all-new consumer video reviews, now available at VHIX.com, your online resource to find your ride. Watch VHIX video buying guides and test drives powered by Wheels TV on Comcast On Demand.
I went to VHIX.com before I bought my car. They have these video consumer reviews, and it's real people talking about the best-selling, most researched cars, and you can find out about the car you want to buy. Real people talking about the cars that they own. They tell you what they think about it. Video consumer reviews. Videos, videos, videos. This is a great way to learn about a car. I like my car.
Watch the all-new consumer video reviews, now available at VHIX.com, your online resource to find your ride. Local dealer inventories are now searchable at VHIX.com on your mobile phone.
We're looking here now as the riders hit the climb of the 10 boss here. 2 leaders out in front, these aren't they? In fact, we've got Quinziato and Sylvain Chavanel setting the pace up front. And this is Heinrich Housler now trying to set the pace, because the field has again come together and brought back all of the other riders because they can't find a captain to lead the ship.
Well, Heinrich Housler has said that he was going to try and win this bike race, and he wasn't going to try and win it in a sprint. He would look for the moves and he would look for the attacks, and that's why he's trying to move clear here on the climb of Tin Boss.
Well, as the riders get picked off from the breakaway, there's only 2 riders left up front. It has been a tremendous race, this, but they cannot shake each other off. Yes, they get away, and then the peloton races back in. There's about 50 riders in the peloton as they started this climb, with just 19 miles or 30 kilometers left to go. The gap is 23 seconds, and we are wondering now if Quick-Step will have to rethink their tactics and just give Chavanel his chance to win.
Well, Chavanel has got a very good chance to win, but he has to play the tactical game. He also has to understand that Quinziato, the man in the lime green jersey in first position there, Phil, is a very good sprinter. He's got a track background, and if it goes down to a 2-man sprint at the end, it's going to look rather strange for Sylvain Chavanel trying to get past him.
I don't think he could. In all honesty, I think it would all come down to the Bosberg, and he would have to get away on the Bosberg and then race for home. Chavanel's had his best possible start to the year. 2 wins already, plus 2nd overall in the Tour of the Algarve, which is a big race in February in Portugal. He finished 3rd in Paris-Nice, and he led that race for 3 days, and he won the points department of it. So he really is on fire with his new team here. And well, all I can say is Cofidis, with whom he raced for about 4 seasons, maybe even 5, were wishing that he found those legs when they raced for him.
Absolutely. I think he's reached a certain amount of maturity, and what you were just saying a few moments ago about Quick-Step giving the chance across to Sylvain Chavanel, I've just seen a change in the attitude of Bonin. Bonin is now riding in a defensive mode. He's chasing after these little splits off the front end of the group, and he's sitting there giving the advantage to his teammate in the leading group of 2.
It had to happen. He's given his best shot. They haven't worked out. Pizzato's been like a limpet on his back wheel, and he needs to try and open up a little bit of space. So it's Heinrich Housler who's having to do it now. The boy who lives in Germany via Inverell in Australia, setting the pace. And he's been very, very strong today, and he really has also improved out of sight. He's a winner now. But even winners, Paul, they have to have that little bit of good luck as well.
They certainly do. Coming across the gap, a rider from Rabobank to add some firepower to this leading group, this chasing group with Housler. But it's Quick-Step again at the front end of the main field, who are clawing it all back together.
Well, an awful lot of boys believe they're still in with the shout here as they dragged their bodies over the flat roads here. No cobblestone. 16 seconds the gap to the 2 leaders. It's far from gone. And they could do with shaking out a few of those motorbikes now.
It's going to get a bit complicated, the tactics, Phil, because the leading group of 2 have only got 15 seconds advantage. I have a feeling that we are about to witness a complete regrouping at the front end of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, Tour of Flanders, and that is before the what is always a very important strategic climb, the Kapelmuur, or the Muur de Grammont, which comes at 15 kilometers to go, and that's around about 15 kilometers away from where we are right now.
Well, if we're looking for reputations, Quinziato hasn't got a great reputation. A pro since 2002, 3 wins only in his career. This would be far and away the biggest win of his life if he could pull it off, and he certainly looks strong today. He now wants more work from Chavanel. 2 kilometers now to the Eikenmolen.
Just the Eiken windmill at the top, and that's a short climb of 610 meters at 12.5%, and that climb is at 25 kilometers to go. And I think 10 kilometers after that we will see a big battle today on the Muur de Grammont, and I don't think that Tom Bonin today can get rid of Pipo Pozzato.
Well, there are the 2 leaders, 28 kilometers out. I am totally amazed that peloton is so big, but no matter how big it is, time is beginning to run out for it, so it better get a move on.
It's about time someone made it easy to spot the good guys. When you use a business with a new Super Guarantee at superpages.com or in the Verizon Yellow Pages, you'll get the job done right, or we'll make it right. It's designed to save you time. Look for it in the Verizon Yellow Pages and at superpages.com. The Super Guarantee from ID Art Media. It's about time. Yours.
Want the good stuff for your home? Renter Center puts that goal in easy reach. Get the top name brands you trust without credit checks. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Now that's something we can all use. A little assist with our goals.
Well, everything is in its place, and I can't stop the smile on my face, 'cause I'm happy in this place. 1, 2, 3, so smile, smile all my friends. You're in a happy place, so smile, smile all my friends. Come on, smile, smile all my friends.
Make your happy happen at sandiego.org.
Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
There's something about the freshness of Ireland that brings out the lasses. Get that clean scent from head to toe with new Irish Spring hair and body for all over freshness. New Irish Spring hair and body. Yes, sir. Hair and
I went to VHix.com before I bought my car. They have these video consumer reviews, and it's real people talking about the best-selling, most researched cars, and you can find out about the car you want to buy. Real people talking about the cars that they own. They tell you what they think about it. Video consumer reviews. Videos, videos, videos. This is a great way to learn about a car. I like my car.
Watch the all-new consumer video reviews now available at VHix.com, your online resource to find your ride. List your vehicle for free on VHix and reach millions of interested car buyers.
Michelle has had leukemia since she was 2. The Coleman twins were born 24 weeks premature. Max had his first surgery when he was 3 days old. These kids are alive today, and it's a real miracle. When your child needs help, there's a Children's Miracle Network hospital nearby. Go to childrensmiraclenetwork.org to support our hospitals helping local kids.
Well, it has turned out to be a beautiful day now in Belgium, as you can see from the sun here. We are looking at the two leaders at 26 kilometres to go. There's the split. They've got 18 seconds on over the Tom Bonen, George Hincapie group. We think George is there. We haven't seen him for a while. And again, they split up on a peloton by just a few seconds. Nobody can make up. There's one chase just on the Top Sport Vlaanderen team at 20 seconds. The Bonen peloton is at 33.
Yes, that's Preben van Haken from Top Sport Vlaanderen. And this is the start now of the 14th climb of the day there, Eikenmolen. An average gradient of 6%, a maximum gradient of 13%, and the crowd here pretty much noticeable by their absence. I think they've all gone 15 kilometres down the road, Phil, to the Mur de Grammont.
Yeah, just remind me what the 15th climb is, Paul. It always sends shivers down my spine.
The 15th climb of the day is the Mur de Grammont, or the Wall van Herasbergen.
Ah, lovely. I've actually ridden up that. Well, I think I rode it, but I can't remember. It was so hard. Well, we're looking there at the peloton reforming now. It's going to be showdown in Gerardsbergen. It's got to be showdown in Gerardsbergen. This race, too, has often been won there. But we've got a counter-attack going here.
De Volder.
Again, and now is the man that was the winner last year and seems all day to have been helping Tom Bonen, giving his head to try for himself.
Well, Quick Step certainly, I think, have thrown down the gauntlet here. They know the most dangerous man in this group and in this field, I think, is Pipo Pozzato.
That's Pozzato there, isn't it?
Well, it's a rider from Katusha coming across. I'm not sure whether it was Pozzato, because I'm certain that Pozzato will be completely covered now by Tom Bonen.
Unless Tom Bonen suddenly hit the wall, which is all possible. We tend to forget these guys are human, you know, and just occasionally they get tired.
Well, there's Bonen sitting at the back of the group wearing number 2, so it obviously wasn't Bonen's chance to go out of the front of this group. That's a very large group, I'm sure. Bonen feeling a little bit depressed because he's got the legs here this afternoon, but he just has never really
the legs. I wonder if he's gone into a bad patch.
Quite possibly.
And that's why they've switched their tactics.
And De Volder now has seen that as his opportunity to move up into the role of team captain as well.
Well, that's the benefit of having a great team, and that's what Quick-Step is. I mean, the Belgian papers said all week, Quick-Step will win the race. The question is, with which rider? So they can't afford to lose it, because they'll be ripped in the papers tomorrow.
Well, especially if this man can ride across the gap. He's come halfway across the gap to Preben van Haken of Team Topsport Vlaanderen, comes by him. He may well slow down to give him a little bit of a chance to get into the slipstream.
Yeah, looks like it.
And he's got himself 20 seconds to find now to rejoin the leaders. And again, the race radios from managers to riders will be crackling between the men on Team Quick-Step to say, right, Sylvain, I know you were working, but now maybe you shouldn't work quite so hard, because Stein de Volder's coming across, and he was the winner last year. So 2 men against 1 in the leading group could give their chances of winning a serious boost.
Well, we'll see if that pans out. The crowds are as thick as ever, but a lot of the crowds in this area will now be either on the climb of Gerardsbergen, which is the big climb of the day, coming strategically so near the finish, and for the rest, they'll be down at the finishing line with us here in Meerbeek. I can tell you now the stands are packed here. And there is the main peloton, an unusually large peloton where the winner could still come from. The chase is 18 seconds back. These are the 2 leaders, Sylvain Chavanel and Marcel Quinziato.
I'll take a stab at a guess of the rider coming across from Katusha. I think it may well be Sergei Ivanov, because he's the man who I saw looking pretty frisky at the start of the race here this afternoon, and maybe they too have decided to take the responsibility away from Pozzata, because he too is pretty finely marked by Quick-Step.
We named Quinziato there. It's Manuel Quinziato, in fact. As we're looking down at the spaces between the wheels, a pure sign there that the pressure is on now.
Well, I like race radio. They've just confirmed that it was Sergei Ivanov who's jumped across the front for Katusha.
Well, that is amazing. And Sergei Ivanov, what is he, 3 or 4 times he's been the champion of Russia, and still finding his legs. We'll see if he gets over there, but for Sergei, that is a very good move indeed.
He's still looking for a lot of time, because he's looking at the moment at being 40 seconds behind. There's only 17 seconds behind between de Volder and the Sylvain Chavanel group. As we look here, there's the style
that looks
of Sergei
like the style
Ivanov.
of him. Yeah, a national road race champion for the 5th time now. I've checked my notes, Sergei Ivanov. And he's 34 years of age. He had his birthday on the 5th of March, and he's still got a fine pair of racing legs here. He rode on what is again Lance Armstrong's Astana team last year when Lance was in retirement, but this year he's moved on to the new Russian team of Katusha, which has had a pretty good start to the season. They probably would have liked a little bit more success, but nonetheless they're very much part of the racing scene already.
Well, complicated race once again with 22 kilometers to go. 15 seconds Stein de Volder is looking for, and the main field is only at 30 seconds.
Well, the highest he's ever finished, 7th in the Tour de Flanders, Ivanov. That was back in 2003, when he also finished 10th in the following week's Paddy Roubaix. Here he comes, the champion of Russia. He's pulled that jersey on as champion for 5 years now. Not in succession, I hasten to add. He won his first title back in 1998.
Well, he now knows that he's got the responsibility of Russian cycling on his shoulders, and for the first time in many years riding for a solid Russian squad.
So there's still no real indication as to who is going to win the 93rd Ronde van Vlaanderen. We are now just 22 kilometres or 13 miles to go. Unlucky for some.
Hi, may I help you?
Yes, I hear Progressive has lots of discounts on car insurance. Can I get in on that?
Are you a safe driver?
Yes.
Discount. Do you own a home?
Yes.
Discount. Are you gonna buy online?
Yes.
Discount. Isn't getting discounts great?
Yes.
There's no discount for agreeing with me.
Yeah, I got carried away.
It happens to me all the time.
Helping you save money. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Free high-speed internet. Real value from your friends at Hampton.
Daddy, the truck's here.
When you want more cargo room, Enterprise will pick you up.
We're making a playhouse.
And get you on your way to special memories.
How's it going?
Finished.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up. Coming up on Versus. Next, it's the PBR from Nampa. Then at 9, a WEC title fight, Torres Mitsugaki. And at 11, it's Sports Soup with Matt.
Blackjack Pizza Excellence Test number 323. Just how good is Blackjack Pizza?
Man, this pizza is so good.
Let's drop a beat on them!
Yo, my mouth, it's where it goes in. It's the freshest of the fresh, it's not frozen. Yo, the sauce, man, it tastes so great because it's always fresh, not from concentrate. Psych!
Blackjack Pizza. Excellence tested, always good. Call now and get 2 medium one-topping pizzas for just $9.99.
It's official. Blackjack Pizza is so good, you'll want to bust a rhyme.
People call us idealistic, but we believe the burger can be saved.
Thin, dried out, frozen beef patties aren't what burgers used to be. The good times came to us.
They listened to us.
They rebuilt the new Mighty Deluxe hamburger from the ground up with a thicker, juicier patty of fresh, never frozen, all-natural Angus beef.
This is a real Angus burger. And for a really good price.
It's nice to know someone is making a difference.
Save the burger! Save the burger! Save
The NHL is on Versus. Tomorrow night, the Red Wings skate into Buffalo. Can the home ice edge push the Sabres past the champs and into the playoffs? And in the Stanley Cup playoffs, every second counts. Do not miss a single one. Coverage of the 2009 Stanley Cup playoffs begins next Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern, right here on Versus. 20 kilometres to go, and we now have 4 riders in the lead. There's the names: Stein de Volder, Chavanel, Quinziato and Preben van Heck. They've just come up to these 2 leaders, and the gap is 36 seconds. Ivanov has been joined by a couple of chasers. Here's the situation here. And so we've got 4 chase, including Tezzato, by the way, who's also got onto the back of the chasing 4 riders.
That's going to make 3 Team Quick-Step riders in the top 10 at the moment on the road, and that's going to be a position of strength for them. But Stein de Volder has got some pretty strong legs here this afternoon, and I would think he'll be starting to think now about the Mur de Grammont, which is coming up in around about 6 kilometres time.
20 kilometres left to go to the finish. 12 miles to run to the finish of the 93rd Tour of Flanders. One of the oldest events on the international racing calendar. It's a monument of the sport, and these boys have shown it all respect today. It's been a tremendous race in every quarter, but there's been no exceptional rider, which I guess for us is rather good, because these 4 are the latest 4 candidates for victory.
Quinziato there in the lime green. He knows he's got 2 tough riders up against him from Team Quick-Step. The one that they probably don't know an awful lot about is the man who slipped into that move there, Johnny Hoogland.
Preben van Heck. Yeah, and I don't know anything about him either. So we're in the same boat here, Paul. But you know, he's done well. He's on a small team, Top Sport Vlaanderen, Mercator, and he's come across the gap. He made sure he got onto the back wheel of Stein de Volder when he was picked up, and he's done well. He must be wondering, what on earth am I doing in this company? 2.2 kilometres to the wall of the Kapelmuur, the church wall.
2.2 kilometres to the start of the climb, 15 kilometres to go from the summit of the climb, and if you've never been there, it is a beast of a climb, the Mur de Grammont, because it starts off pretty steep in the town on a nice smooth road. Then all of a sudden there's a right-hand bend, and once you take that right-hand bend, you're onto the cobblestones, and it kicks up to 25%. When you reach the top, you think, that's it, I've done it. But all of a sudden, in recent years, the organisers of the Tour of Flanders have found a little right-hand turn to extend the Mur de Grammont by an extra 300 metres.
How mean is that? These are the 4 chasers. There's the names for you. The champion of Russia for the 5th time in our camera here. This Tezzato is the passenger. He's not helping, of course. Why would he? He's got 2 teammates ahead at 42 seconds up the road. But just how strong are these riders once we get to this climb? Same question must be asked about the 4 riders up front. one would expect Chavanel to have the legs to go again, and Quinziato looks good, but De Volder must be tired.
De Volder has to be tired, but he looked tired last year when he went on to win this bike race, but he just kept hammering away again and again, because this, for a Belgian rider, Phil, is the biggest race in their calendar.
Well,
it's the World Championships, it's the Olympic Games, it's everything for a Belgian rider to try and win this. There's an extra special drive for the Belgians today.
No question. If you win that, he can retire for the rest of the year, and they'll still be talking about him next December.
There's the town of Grammont.
Now we're waiting. Gerardsbergen in Grammont. This, as we go now, we go down sort of the main street. When we swing left, the cobble start. Oh, we're nearly there. We go over that little bridge first, and then in the trees in the distance, that's where we're headed now, around the little chapel on the top. It's where cyclists come to a mecca in Belgium to go and see just what these riders go through, and we're going to see for ourselves in approximately 90 seconds, I would think.
Well, they drop down over the railway bridge into the heart of Grammont, then through the town square, then it all begins.
Well, at 17 kilometres to go, life is about to change as all of the riders go up the wall of Gerardsbergen.
May I help you?
Hi, I need to start saving on car insurance.
Money a bit tight?
Yeah, I've had to cut back, sell some stuff.
Like his watch.
Ah, we can help you save because we instantly compare your Progressive Direct rate with rates from other top companies. Watch this. Nice savings.
This means I can buy my watch back.
Oh, this watch?
Yeah.
Not for sale.
That's cold.
Making sure you get a great deal. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
See you tomorrow, Steve.
Tony Stewart. Thank you, Tony.
Tony? Armor All wash, wipes, and tire shines. Go ahead, stare. And to clean your car while you shine, try Armor All Protect-It.
Starting a new garden doesn't have to be back-breaking. Not when you have the Mantis Tiller Cultivator. It does all the hard work for you. The Mantis Tiller weighs only 20 pounds. It's easy for anyone to handle. The powerful two-cycle engine spins the patented tines deep into the soil. They dig down, cutting through the hardest clay and tangled weeds. They're so tough, they're actually guaranteed never to break. Yet the Mantis maneuvers nimbly, even in the tightest places. Tilling, weeding, and cultivating have never been easier. Now you can get this amazing Mantis Tiller Cultivator at huge factory direct savings. Plus, we'll give you this border edger free. Use the Mantis for a full year. And if you're not delighted, return it for a prompt, no questions asked refund. Call now and we'll send you complete information. It's yours free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-819-5404. That's 1-800-819-5404. Call 1-800-819-5404 today.
We're looking at the four leaders now as they swing onto the cobblestones of the wall of Gerardsbergen. They've got just 48 seconds advantage over four chases and 61 seconds over a huge peloton.
Well, Chavanel there sitting at the backfill in fourth position must be wondering whether he's got the legs to get away from this leading group. He's a Frenchman on a Belgian team here this afternoon, and I have to say he's ridden to absolute and utter perfection, coming around the outside of Quinziato, coming up to the wheel of Van Hakke, the man in the white jersey in second place for the small Belgian team Top Sport Vlaanderen, and he's going to set the tempo for his teammate Stijn de Volder. This, as you said, Phil, is the mecca of Flanders for the Ronde van Vlaanderen. The four-man chase group has now been picked up by the main field.
They have indeed, because that's even off there, so they've all been caught. It's four against the rest now as the counter-attacks are coming again, and they're going to have to come now. There's going to have to be progress. Note the time, 48 seconds, down to 47 already as those four leaders are halfway up the climb. This looks like Fletcher to me.
Well, there's a big battle. In fact, it looks like Matty Heyman, I think, who's got himself a bit ripped up there, Phil.
Could
and
be,
he's come to the front at this part of the climb. But Pozzato and Tom Boonen are locked wheel in wheel together as if they're just watching each other, and they're actually going to lose if they play that game.
Well, Tom Bonan is happy to lose, providing one of his team wins, and he's got the 2 riders capable of it. Last year's winner, who moved over to this team this year, is right on the front, setting the pace now, and surprisingly, no attack from that group. I think you're right. This is Matthew Heyman here, the Australian, who's now digging deep to try and open a gap. What a result that would be for Australia if they could land the big one.
Here's the move. Stein de Volder set up there by Sylvain Chavanel. He's trying to get himself away from Quinziato. Quinziato was waiting for that move to come, and again, moving into second position in the defensive role for Quick-Step is Sylvain Chavanel.
Well, Quinziato, no surprise to me, looks very, very strong here as they go up towards the chapel. We're getting to the area where we've seen lesser men walk on this climb, and de Volder knows it. Quinziato's cracked a little bit as de Volder now is turning it on in style, proudly wearing number 1 as last year's winner. We've seen him destroy himself all day for Tom Bonan, and he's had to lay it down for himself today on the wall, and I think he just cracked Quinziato. Tom Bonan now is going to have to block at the back and hope Stein de Volder can win the second successive Ronde.
Well, I don't know if you saw the face there on Stein de Volder. He knows this climb. He will have been over this climb many, many times in the past. If he gets over the top of this climb, Phil, with a 10 or 15 second advantage, he's got a very good chance of success, because not only was he Belgian road champion, but he's also been the Belgian time trial champion.
Well, he can do it all, but is he too tired? It's a question we must ask ourselves now for sure. He will be 30 years of age in August this year. That means he's a Leo, and he's about to roar like a lion right now. As he heads up towards the top of the climb, he's gone. Quinziato is going to feel a very lonely man. The counter moves here. Is this Leif Hoster again?
No, it's Van Avermaet in front there of Tom Bonan, again followed by Pippo Pozzato, who has not left the back wheel of Tom Bonan here this afternoon. But it's Bonan's turn now, Phil, to play the defensive role in this bike race.
So, Greg Van Avermaet, who's a good sprinter and certainly would win if he got to use his sprint at the finish. There's a bit of work still to be done here. 15 kilometres left to go as they go over the top. Another final kick from Van Avermaet, followed quickly by Bonan, another fast finisher, of course. And there's the little chapel we talk about. This is the Kapelmuur, the wall of the church, or the chapel. And now we go back up to a very, very significant part of the race. Last year's winner, heading towards 30 years of age. His only result this year is a 6th place in the Grand Prix E3, and that was last week. And now de Volder is ready.
There's only one climb left in front of him as well, Phil, and that is the climb of the Bosberg, the final climb of the Ronde van Vlaanderen here this afternoon. Quinziato trying to encourage Chavanel to work, and all he can say is, excusez-moi, mais je ne peux pas. I cannot ride with you because that's my teammate in front. So sorry, mate, that is the law of the jungle at 15 kilometres to go.
And there is the empty road of Flanders lying ahead of a rider who's seen all this before now, as he hasn't won many races in his life. He turned pro in 2002. He's had 17 victories, Stein de Volder, but this would match up with the other one. So as we look now here at Stein de Volder, the man who was the big favourite, Tom Bonan, is now having to be the faithful teammate back in the pack at around about 15 seconds or so, a bit more than that. And George Hincapie, although we believe he's in that chase group, sadly to say, we haven't seen anything of him in this closing stage of the race. These 3 riders are 15 seconds back. The peloton was still waiting for the time gap. Right, the question now is, has the Tour de Flanders been won by this low move by Stein de Volder? Next up, it's the Bosberg. It'll get the final say. We'll be there. We'll see you there in just a moment.
Free high-speed internet. Real value from your friends at Hampton. Standing beside every soldier is an army of husbands and wives, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers. They wear a different kind of uniform. Football jerseys, business suits, first pairs of shoes. Their strength keeps our soldiers and our nation strong, which is why the U.S. Army is committed to doing all it can to keep Army families Army strong. Learn about our commitment at goarmy.com/families.
Took him 12 years to get the gig in this joint. Now he's been headlining for 25.
Okay, solid.
Might be time for something new.
Man, sounding pretty good. Maybe tomorrow you come in and play some with us, all right?
2, 3. So when he heard what he heard that night, he knew. For every king an heir, for every king a crown. Crown Royal. Please drink responsibly.
It's about time someone made it easy to spot the good guys. When you use a business with a new Super Guarantee at superpages.com or in the Verizon Yellow Pages, you'll get the job done right, or we'll make it right. It's designed to save you time. Look for it in the Verizon Yellow Pages and at superpages.com. The Super Guarantee from IDR Media. It's about time. Yours.
Most people avoid extremes. Others can't wait to experience them. Introducing the all-new Ranger XP and Sportsman XP. The most power, the best all-wheel drive, the best suspension. Extreme performance for the most extreme terrain. They're the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles ever. See the 2009 XPs at your local Polaris dealer or visit PolarisXPEvent.com.
We're off. Woo! Something smells funny and it ain't the ponies. Floppy hats at 10 o'clock. Closest to the track, but farthest from reality. Excuse me, sir. Pardon me, ma'am. Good, honest beer at a tasty price is neck and neck with hoity-toity atmosphere. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And y'all gonna find out today because you're about to lose this highlight. Woo, your head almost hit me in my face. We want to hand this out to the people really watching the race. It's a liberating landslide blowout victory for common sense.
Earn double Hilton Honors base points. Real value from your friends at Hampton.
This is the last stepping stone to victory. We are watching Stein de Volder now start the slopes of the Bosberg. Is he going to be the big man now that will take it through to the finish and win? He's opened the gap. 29 seconds. Chavanel getting advice from the team car. 61 seconds to the main chase group.
Well, Wilfred Peters in the team car there saying, good job, just stay there and hang loose because we've got this one in the bag. This does not look like a man who is weakening to me, Phil. He is pounding that machine of his. He's eating up the cobbles of the Bosberg. When he gets to the summit, he has a mere 11.8 kilometers to go, but he's still got to keep the pressure on because the gaps are still not that big.
Hill number 16, the end of a tough day in the saddle. It started at 9:45 local time. It's now heading up to 4 o'clock, and this man has been in our pictures ever since we went into the heart of Flanders on these bergs, and now he must be riding on adrenaline. He's got to be absolutely shattered, but he'll respond to these crowds who will cheer him and drag him to victory if that's what it's going to be. I don't think there's any fear from the three chase. I don't think they're capable, but what will come from behind?
Well, there's a reaction coming behind, and I think it was Juan Antonio Fletcher who'd slipped away from the group. It looks so very close, doesn't it? But it's 36 seconds. The camera, once again, slightly foreshortening it. But there's an anchor, there's a dead weight on the back of that chasing group, and it's called Sylvain Chavanel. He has to sit there. I'm amazed and impressed with Sylvain Chavanel. Last year with Cofidis. He suddenly seemed to mature, and then he decided he wanted to go to a bigger team, a stronger team, a more solid team for the one-day classics. And he's proving today that he made the right choice.
Well, what a huge decision that was. It's unusual for a Frenchman to move on to a Belgian team. He's been with French teams all of his life. He's come to Belgium and he's living his finest hour, I think. So's this man right now. There's the time board. If he can wipe the sweat out of his eyes, he might have read it. We didn't, but we can see easily. It's 38 seconds on that chase group of 2 because the third one ain't chasing.
Well, just looking at his pedaling style, it was a pedaling style of a man who's got lots of energy still in his legs. Bonin in second position is playing the defensive. That is Juan Antonio Fletcher in the orange, just getting himself to the top of the Bosberg, and still locked onto the wheel of Tom Bonin is Pipo Pozzato. Well, he hasn't moved from there all day.
One gets the feeling these are the riders in their death throes here on the Bosberg. It's their last chance to break it up. They're very, very tired. It's a tenacious peloton that's dragged itself back in over every climb, and the places could make for some surprise reading, I think. But right now, it's everybody against one man, and that one man seems to be the best rider on the course.
Well, you can see now Sylvain Chavanel has come to the front to give these guys a little bit of assistance, but he'll do what we say in the sport of professional cycling, glass cranking. He'll just be turning over, but he won't be putting a lot of pressure onto those pedals because he knows he doesn't want to eat into the advantage of Stijn de Volder, which now has just crept up to 47 seconds.
Well, there is the image of the time trial champion of Belgium doing what he does best, ride alone against the watch, but not after 250 kilometers, surely. His body must be aching all over now, but he's being drawn towards the finish in Meerbecker because he knows he's ridden so well, he knows what it's like to win this race, and he's looking for his second successive victory, which he could not have imagined this morning. He didn't come to this race to win.
But he dreamed about it. He will, in the back of his mind last night, thought maybe I can win this event again, back to back. I do have the responsibility to look after Tom Bonen, but I've got a great team around me, and the way things develop out on the open road, Tom Bonen, I think, has been completely and utterly marked out of this race by guys like Pipo Pozzato. So Quick-Step is such a strong team. They were able to turn around the tactics and throw a couple of other buns in the oven for these guys. Now this man, I reckon, has pretty much got the race sewn up. The only thing I think can rob him of a victory here this afternoon is a mechanical incident.
Yes, well, Pozzato fell into the Venus flytrap, didn't he, really? Because you can't take on a team and just follow one rider. You've got to surprise that team, and he seemed to be, his only tactic was to follow Tom Bonen, and Tom Bonen was to follow him. So they wrote themselves out of this particular script today, but it's working out well for Quick-Step at the moment, with the usual flotilla of motorbikes as we enter inside 10 kilometers from the finish. Just one lone figure, a Belgian cyclist, a former champion of this country, heading for the 66th win in the Ronde van Vlaanderen. He's just 9 kilometers from glory.
That is a big gap, a 51-second gap, and still Quinziato goes to the front, tries to keep the pressure on, but now knowing that he's riding to try and get a chance at second place in the Ronde van Vlaanderen here this afternoon. Sylvain Chavanel now, I think, riding sensibly just a little bit to try and assure that they don't get caught by the group behind, and he's got a chance of getting himself second place in this event.
It's nudging up ever so slowly, but he's using all of this road. When he goes left, look, he's trying to take the shortest way through. I really thought he was in his final throws when he tried to cross the gap earlier for Tom Bonen, but here we are. He realised he had to go himself, which he did, as he crossed on the Eikemolen eventually to the leaders, and on the wall he destroyed them. And now he's riding proudly towards the end. Well, the newspapers may have got it right this time. A Quick-Step rider is going to win.
Well, this was the team to beat. We said at the start of the day it was the team to beat, with three very strong hands in the squad: De Volder, Tom Bonen and Sylvain Chavanel, and all three of those riders, Phil, today have played a serious part in the Tour of Flanders, but it was just a question of which way out was it going to play. Wilfred Peters a little bit nervous, talking to his man, saying, look, it's almost up to the 1 minute mark, so hold back a little bit, don't push yourself too much, just make sure that you conserve the advantage.
Look, he's got 10 minutes left, that's all he's got to race. 10 minutes to the end of the day, and the boys behind have got to close nearly a minute, and behind that group even more than a minute, and I do not think that's possible.
I don't think they'll pull him back. The question is whether that three-man group that's chasing at 52 seconds will survive to take out the second and third places on the day. But for Stijn de Volder now, as he goes through Nieuwenhove, he is really getting himself into a rhythm. He's still got the energy, still got that nervousness to get himself out of the saddle, to accelerate, keep the pace nice and high.
Well, this is the chase group here, and splitting them is Chavanel. Now he's going through now, and I'm not surprised, because I think Peters in the car there has taken the theory now they can't catch the leader, so try and preserve this for the race for second place. They could get a 1-2.
Absolutely, and that's what they're going to look for, as they can see now that Sylvain Chavanel knows that the group behind is around about 1 minute and 30 seconds, so they've actually got to work to stay in front of them.
So as we click over to 7 kilometers to go, the gap is up 55 seconds for last year's winner, Stijn de Volder. It might be a case of job done. Well, it looks now as though this terrific ride by Stein de Volder has broken the back of the chasers. I think the gap is too much. All that remains, I think, is to crown the new champion. Or is he an old champion? We'll see in just a moment.
Well, everything is in its place, and I can't stop the smile on my face, 'cause I'm happy in this place. 1, 2, 3, so smile, smile on my friends. You're in a happy place, so smile, smile on my friends. Come on, smile, smile on my friends.
Make your happy happen at sandiego.org.
Want the good stuff for your home? Renter Center puts that goal in easy reach. Get the top name brands you trust without credit checks. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Now that's something we can all use. A little assist with our goals.
There's something about the freshness of Ireland that brings out the lasses. Get that clean scent from head to toe with new Irish Spring hair and body for all over freshness. New Irish Spring hair and body. Yes, sir. Hair and body.
Coming up on Versus. Next, it's the PBR from Nampa. Then at 9, a WEC title fight, Torres Mitsugaki. And at 11, it's Sports Soup with Matt Iceman.
If you plan on building, furnishing, or remodeling your home, or you're just tired of paying retail, don't spend another dollar. Now, you can enjoy an incredible selection of top-quality, name-brand products priced up to 50% less than retail. Take the first step towards saving hundreds or even thousands of dollars on nearly anything for your home. Call for your free Direct Buy Insider's Guide to Buying Direct and learn what retailers don't want you to know. Each full-color page of the Insider's Guide is packed with powerful information. Discover some of the hundreds of thousands of products available from over 700 name brand manufacturers. Everything, including furniture, cabinets, appliances, flooring, lighting fixtures, and so much more, all without retail markups. At Direct Buy, you can't afford to miss this valuable opportunity. Call the number on your screen now to get your own Direct Buy Insider's Guide. You'll also receive a visitor's pass and map to the Direct Buy showroom nearest you. The sooner you call, the sooner you'll be buying direct. So call now.
We're looking again at the lonely figure of Stein de Volder now. Our screen saying 6 kilometres, but he has just passed the 5 kilometres to go as he swings now towards the town of Meerbeeke and the big finish. A case of deja vu, because the gap is just on 1 minute and it's getting to be in the realms of impossibility now, and it's gone to 1 minute. De Volder is going to win this race for a second year.
Well, the last little false drag as he goes through Dende Wingdeke, because the next climb and the next town sign that he will see will be Meerbeeke. This is really going to hurt his legs, but when you're in a position like this and you know that you're going to win the bike race, the pain just goes back into the distance for a short while. It'll still be there later on in the evening, it'll still be there tomorrow, but right now he can take that pain because he knows that pain is going to pay.
Oh, there'll be huge celebrations tonight for Quick-Step here. At 5 kilometres to go, he was the one of the 3 riders we didn't think would win today, because he was working for Bonin and we had Chavanel in the lead, the 2 teammates. And then he's gone and cleared them all out the way, cleared his own path, and he's now heading for town. And every pedal rev here, yes, it's hurting, but he knows with every pedal rev, he's inching closer. 4K.
Just got to ride that individual time trial. He's still got sprightly legs there, as the chasing group of 3 are in fact now being reported at 1 minute and 20 seconds. And Van Heck has come to the front to try and do that little bit more work, because he's looking, Phil, and I would have to say probably the best performance of his life, whether he finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th.
He's never won a race as a professional, and he's not going to win today, but to finish even 4th in the Tour of Flanders is a huge result and could lead to greater things, of course. Wilfred Peters now saying, look, you've got it, just keep going, because there's nothing else you can do now. You're not allowed to touch your riders, feed your riders. You can just shout at them.
I think he probably said 1 kilometre to go, and alles gedaan. Everything's over because you've got this one pretty much locked up in the bag, my dear boy. All you've got to do now is make the right-hand turn once you leave this town, and then it's all downhill into Meerbeke and a slight climb in the last 400 metres.
And he's still going out. It's now 1 minute 11 seconds, and there's the peloton. So the race for second place is wide open now. The sprinters will have their moment here as Quinziato is on the sharp end, followed here by Sylvain Chavanel, who's had a brilliant day out, but it may now all come to naught, and so too for Van Heck.
Yeah, but Phil, I'll tell you one thing. If you have to give a man an award for the man of the match, you've got to give it to Sylvain Chavanel here this afternoon, because he has played the ultimate teammate's role throughout the whole of the afternoon, riding to orders, riding to perfection. He basically pretty much set up the move on the Muur de Grammont for this man, his teammate, to go clear and win.
But the thing is, you had to have the strength, and somewhere this man Stein de Volder found that strength to go clear. It's not as close as it looks. It's probably about 5-6 seconds, but it's close enough for the kill.
Well, Quinziato was just exaggerating at the front, hoping that he's going to survive, but I think it's pretty much over. There's a big gap there of open road as they try to keep it nice and clean. You can't see the main field coming over just yet, but they're not too far away.
There they are. They can see the winner of the Tour of Flanders, but they can't catch him today. That gap represents 69 seconds now. I think Preben there has had just about enough. That was a huge turn he just did to try and hold them off, but now he's gasping. Heading down to familiar roads here, not more so than for Stein de Volder, as he now heads towards the right flick, which will take us in the last 600 metres or so.
You've got to say, Phil, that over the years, this team, whether it was in the form of Team Mappé or whether it was in the form of Team Quickstep, has been the team of the classics, and especially these classics over this week, the Tour of Flanders and Paddy Roubaix. They've always got themselves motivated, and they've always come up with a good strategy to get the win for one rider or another.
Big moment too for comparatively new director sportif Wilfred Peters, who's driving the car today, and he's now witnessing the win here in the Tour of Flanders again as he follows the lone leader. Chavanel looks over his shoulder. It's a horrible sight when you see the riders breathing down your neck, but that's what they're doing, and I can't see them staying away.
Well, I think it's just prolonging the agony for these three riders at the front, but who is going to take the sprint now for second place? Because there's a little question of pride, I have to say, for Team Quickstep, with the red flag now shining for this man, Stein de Volder. It's the first time Phil started to look a little bit relaxed.
He's just looking at Wilfred Peters there. Once you're under 1 kilometre to go, nobody bridges a minute's gap. And now it's a pleasurable ride to the finish of the Ronde van Vlaanderen. 260 kilometres under pressure. You're entitled to the last kilometre to have fun.
Well, he can enjoy this. That last time he wasn't too far off the front end of the chasing group of riders. This time he knows he can really enjoy the last 500 metres. And the crowd here, I have to say, almost half of Flanders has turned out to see this bike race. And with a Belgian rider winning it, Phil, they will go ballistic.
There's the turn. In the distance is the banner. It's slightly uphill, would you believe? It's a difficult sprint to judge. We'll see that in a moment, because that will be the case for second place. But the flags are waving here in Flanders at 300 metres to go. This rider wins for a second year. You'd have got tremendous odds on him doing it. Even with 50 kilometres to go, you'd have got good odds. But he proved to have the strength. In just over 6 hours today, Stein de Volder goes back-to-back in the Ronde van Vlaanderen. 2 fingers in the air to a massive crowd, and I have to say this was the way to win, on your own, after proving you're the best man in the race.
Yeah, brilliant ride by Stein de Volder, and just listen to the crowd. They are going crazy about the performance of their man, their champion of 2 years ago, the winner of last year, and what a great way to win. And here we've still got Heinrich Housler trying to get himself second place.
Well, I can see all the people leaping up in Inverell, Australia now, because Heinrich has somehow got him just off the front of the group here. Now, he is a good sprinter, but he's not left anything to the chance of the sprint here. Now, our cameras we don't have any control of have gone to the melee over the finishing line here with Stein de Volder. The leaders are coming up the straight at about 400 metres from the line. There they are. And Housler is still holding position. He's got an outside chance here. The sprint is about to start, and Hushoft is in that sprint.
Well, they're winding it up over on the left-hand side. Oh, there's a crash, and another rider's gone down.
Well, that was a knock. That was Greg Van Avermaet, I think, on the right here, who's got clear. Heinrich Housler made a good decision to get away. He crosses the line in second place. So the big favourite this morning among some people has come good with a second place finish. And the third place finish there went to Philippe Gilbert. Well, there's a good sprint for you. The man that said this course didn't suit him.
Well, Gilbert was looking to put a fine performance in there. Sylvain Chavanel just coming across the line. One of my heroes, I'd have to say, Phil, of the day. But look at this over on the right-hand side. There's a big dive to try and get through the gap and just hitting the legs of the barriers there, and 4 or 5 riders going straight down over the top.
Well, that was a nasty fall there. It was the big, I think it was Berghardt of Colombia there who got pushed into the barriers. The tall guy in yellow completely ran out of road. Although it doesn't look like yellow from there. It was Astana from the sky, so it must have been an Astana rider who's gone down there. Very heavy fall indeed.
Yep, that was a nasty crash there. And
George Hincapie has just come in, by the way, off the back, and his numbers flapping. I'm wondering if he was involved in that crash. He's okay, but he's just come in.
Well, Hincapie coming up to the line, but this is the man who has got the glory on the day, and what a phenomenal performance. Laid it down, as so very often is the case on the slopes of the Mur de Grammont.
Well, there is the final image here of a day of racing. The man who has won the stage of the day, and there's no doubt about that, Stijn de Volder, makes it 2 out of 2 in the past 2 years. The finish marred a little bit by the crash, but de Volder, the true winner of today's race.
Well, there's confirmation of the result. A lone win for Stijn de Volder, his second victory in as many years. Heinrich Housler getting away in the run-in to take a great second place. And Philippe Gilbert surprising everybody in the sprint. He crosses the line third at the head of the peloton. Terrific ride by Maskant as well for Garmin Slipstream. Pizzato 5th, Breschel 6th, the Berghardt 7th, Jeroen Reukemans in 8th, and Martin Elmega in 9th. The top 10 completed by De Waal.
Terrific cheer then for the rider who has just pulled on a new Quick-Step jersey before the presentation, Stijn de Volder. He races all day for his team captain, and in the end had to do the job for himself. He wins the 93rd Tour of Flanders, and he stands between 2 great cyclists as well in Housler and Gilbert. So all smiles as the podium girls step down now. It was only this morning when I was talking with Heinrich Housler, and he did say, I'm so nervous, I've never felt like this before in a bike race. And I said, that means you'll ride well today, and he finishes second. Well, there's the situation on the finishing line with the top 3, but one man sadly not standing there is George Hincapie. We understand he did fall approaching the finish, and here he is now talking with Paul Sherwen.
Georgia, Tour of Flanders is always a tough day, but go down in the final few hundred meters is even worse.
Yeah, definitely. It was a hard day. I wasn't feeling that 100% today, but I think I had a great shot at the sprint. I've done really well in that sprint before, and I know exactly when to go. Unfortunately, the guy in front of me flipped over in the barriers, and I went head over heels with him at 200 meters from the line.
Pretty tough, but the team were dominated today pretty much by Quick-Step, who were all over this race all of the time.
Yeah, I mean, de Volder was on a different planet. I mean, he was super strong today, and it was tough to do anything against that.
Interesting to see that Tom Boonen seemed to be marked out of the race. Every time we saw Boonen, he was followed by Pozzato. Was that something that de Volder was able to take advantage of?
I think so, but he was, I mean, obviously he won it last year, so he's not something to take lightly, and he went at the right time. Guys were very tired. Boonen just came back from a big attack, and obviously de Volder was there with him, but he still had some legs left.
Program for the week now, will you do Gent-Wevelgem and get ready for Paddy Roubaix?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big objective of ours, and Cavendish is coming back, and hopefully we can win that one.
But you love Paddy Roubaix, and now after this defeat today, going down with 200 meters to go, you've got to get your head right for the queen of the classics.
Definitely. You know, I've had good feelings at the end of the race, which is a good sign, and Roubaix is going to be a big goal of mine.
Well, it was a tough day for George today, there was no doubt about that, but of course next week is his big day. He's always ridden well in the Queen of the Classics from Paris to Roubaix, and there's no doubt in my mind Hincapie will be right in front of our cameras next week. We hope you'll be enjoying it at home with us as we come here to France to watch this great event. It's Paddy Roubaix. It comes to your screens on Versus next Sunday at 5 Eastern, and it really is one you shouldn't miss. For a complete schedule as well, don't forget to log on to Versus.com Versus.com. There are bonus interviews there, and there are plenty of articles from who else but Bob Roll, who also gives his latest views on Lance Armstrong. And that's all on our website at Versus.com. Congratulations, many congratulations today to Stein de Volder, who now gets 2 out of 2. It was a great race. On behalf of Paul Sherwen, I'm Phil Liggett. Until France next week, we'll see you. Goodbye.